Hi, this is my review of Injecting the Weird. Injecting the Weird is a supplement for Numenera. It's basically a hybrid product. It's part primer on how you can introduce weirdness to your campaign or enhance it. It's also a collection of random tables. It has a couple of new foci and a descriptor, and it also has a handful of oddities and ciphers and an artifact. Well, let's talk about the quality of the PDF. The quality is pretty good. It has some pretty good illustrations, good organization, bookmarks, and everything is very clear, very well explained. Now let's talk about the contents of the PDF. Well, it starts off telling you what weird represents in a role-playing game. In what ways you can introduce weirdness to your campaign, how you can take something that seems out of place and play with its origin or cause and create a sort of like a mystery, sometimes for creepy effects, sometimes just to create a sense of wonder and unexpectedness. And then you get a collection of random tables, and these tables are pretty useful because you can use them not only with Numenera but with other fantasy systems or science fantasy systems, even sci-fi. And for example, we have a table that says a weird thing about that ancient structure. So you make a roll and you could get results such as entrance is a crack or hole in the structure's wall. That's kind of simple, but then you get weirder things. It's impossible to enter unless one is unconscious. That's pretty weird. Or this one. The interior walls are made of a regenerating paper-like substance. And then you get other tables such as a weird thing going on inside the structure. And you make a roll and you could get results such as a chemical in the interior atmosphere slowly causes illness. Or all sounds, including spoken words, are repeated again sometime later. Or creatures lose their sense of touch and feel no pain. There are other tables such as a weird thing out in the wild. For example, a vine winds its way through midair. Or all the small animals in a forest are actually automatons. Or maybe Grotto stores the minds of anyone who dies nearby in what appears to be rocks. There's another table that is called a weird but not particularly dangerous creature. A bird like a stork with a nimbus of brilliant light around it at all times. Or ant-like insects that prefer to live in the ears of large warm-blooded creatures. Or huge furry insects that emit a low resonant hum at all times. There's another table that says a weird thing about that village, town, or city. Merchant sells a knife that cuts only synthetic material. Resident has a pet that looks like a goat with an insect's head. The streets are paved in synthetic material, and etc. And some of the tables have a lot of elements that are specific to the Numenera setting, like the Aeon priests and all those weird artifacts and materials that you can find. But with a little modification, you can apply this to any setting. You also have tables that have to do with NPCs. For example, a weird NPC. Man wears only a kilt with an array of metal cones and antennae instead of a head. Man can speak any language but has no idea why. Woman's entire body is a Numenera machine housing her real body, emaciated and tiny within. That's pretty weird. You also have weird aspects of devices. Maybe the device is amorphous or it's always very warm. Maybe the device sweats or gives a terrible rash to any flesh touched. Let's see. And then you get the weird character options that I was telling you about. You get a new descriptor called Weird, and it's basically someone who senses weirdness and can interact with the most unusual elements of Numenera. The new foci are first, masters insects. They're pretty self-explanatory, so you're basically controlling and communicating with insects. And you also get sees beyond, and that allows you to see beyond the dimensions, multiple dimensions. And well, there's something a little bit disappointing perhaps, and it's that if you already own the Numenera character option supplement, you already have this new foci and the descriptor. So let me tell you what I think of this supplement. I think that if you have, if it's your first time playing with weirdness, you should get this supplement because it's going to show you the ropes, and it's a pretty short and concise introduction to handling elements of weirdness in the role-playing game. And if you already have experience with weirdness in sci-fi or science fiction or science fantasy or whatever, you could also find it useful because of all the random tables. And if you already own the character options, I suggest that you wait until this supplement is on sale, otherwise you're going to feel a bit disappointed that you already have the foci and the descriptor. But overall, it's a pretty decent product. It's useful and it's quite flexible because this is not only going to be pretty good for Numenera, it's also going to be useful with all sorts of other weird fantasy role-playing games or even sci-fi. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. See you later.